You know the drill, it's time for a recap.
Welcome back and welcome to the previous video recap. In the previous video, we were making some prop designs. The lovely props for this illustration included a chair, a table, a light, and of course the skeleton mug or the skull mug. Upon finishing the props, I realized that the skull actually has the key bag on the opposite side. It shouldn't be positioned like that. But at this point in the game, I'm just gonna leave it. I don't think anybody's gonna notice, and if they do, it's a great conversation starter. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, right, props. Props are cool. Enjoy the show.
Hi there and welcome back. Or, if you're new, hi! Nice to meet you. My name is Shwampi and today we are doing part 4 of my series of repainting an old illustration. So if you're not familiar, this series is dedicated to painting an old illustration that featured Pumpkin Man. I called him Mr. Pumpkin. I realized that the name is not attractive at all, but you know, you can give a good suggestion down below if you have one. I am more than happy to take it, because I am not good with naming things. Or maybe I just don't try enough. Could be one of those. Nevertheless, let's talk about characters in character design. This video is dedicated to creating all of the characters in the illustration, and we're starting off with the first design that was a new character added to the illustration. I decided to add a new character because the illustration was lacking. There wasn't much going on, so adding a new character to be like that contrapoint, nah, that's not a good word for it. More like a companion, I guess. No, that's not a good word either. Basically, having an additional character creates more of a storyline in your illustration and thus making the whole illustration speak and tell a story that's more compelling and also creating a better composition. So I added this character in order to make the composition far more enduring and actually speak something. We have this character, the witch girl, who's Witch Cat. Let's call her Witch Cat. Witch Cat is the little girl that's sitting across the Mr. Pumpkin and enjoying the story, and she's asking questions and she wants to know all about the story, and she's so engulfed in this tale that the Mr. Pumpkin is reading her, right? So she is that little additional point, right, to the story. And with that, I wanted her to have a different palette than Mr. Pumpkin. So she has a more purple red palette with a complementary green hair, because you can't go wrong with green hair. You probably could, but in my book it always works. Love green. So enjoy as we finish off Witch Girl. When designing characters, the first thing I think about is the personality and what this character is about. I've read many books and I've listened to a lot of tutorials, and basically it all kind of boils down to understanding what the character is about and also learning what kind of personality this character has in order for you to be able to capture through design the personality of the character. You have to figure out what they're like, what they sound like, how they walk, how they talk, what they dress, what is their preferences, what are they afraid of, and visually represent that. It takes some time to get used to thinking about this process before designing a character, but it does help a lot with bringing them to life. Now moving on to the second character, which is the original character, Mr. Pumpkin. What I did this time around is worked out the anatomy more, made sure that the whole positioning made sense and how it affected the surroundings, and also tried to make the character itself have more personality with expression and how he's positioned in this chair, this humongous chair, right, with holding that book. And after I was done painting, I realized that perhaps the book should have been leaning more onto the lap of Mr. Pumpkin, but hey, sometimes you just gotta let go and finish a piece, even though you realize, whoops, I made a oopsies. So, by accepting the oopsies, I hope you'll forgive me for making the so-called oopsies. And yeah, that's it. For this character particularly, I don't have much to say, except that this character is the protagonist in this illustration. He is reading a story to the second character that we've seen before, the witch girl, and he's reading the story, and she keeps on asking him questions. She keeps on wanting to know more and more, and he just keeps on getting more frustrated because he can't finish his tale, his book, because frankly he probably just wants to, settle down, get a good night's rest. It's Halloween, and pumpkins just love Halloween, right? So we have him looking a little bit agitated, a little bit well, not upset. Upset is too strong of a word, but more agitated and just wanting the whole experience to be over. So, until we move on to this third character, stick around, and I hope you enjoy the speed paint as I finish up Mr. Pumpkin, the 2.0 edition. So redoing old pieces might seem tedious, but it can be extremely beneficial, and it helps you realize where you're making a mistake and where you could be improving your process, not just through improving your skills, but also improving how you approach a project. This is something that I've been learning in the past 2 years, working with a mentor and working with a lot of other people, and just discussing how the creative process works, and actually even looking up a lot of videos and tutorials, and listening to how professionals and people who are in the industry for a very long time approach projects. It's very fascinating to learn and very interesting to see how people's brains work when they're approaching a creative project. And so the first thing that I've learned in these 2 years is that I was not thinking enough. I should have paid more attention to what I wanted to say with the piece, and with that I would have had an easier time figuring out what I needed to paint, draw, and prepare for a piece. Now that we have at least 2 characters finished, let's put them in the illustration. Alright, that looks good. And we're moving on to the third character, the side character, which is basically a raven. And this raven is just chilling here, listening to the story, enjoying the show, being amused by how the girl is irritating Mr. Pumpkin. And this particular raven is a raven that I've been drawing for quite a while. And yes, it's blind. Yeah, it's a blind raven. Why is it blind, you ask? Well, it just got tired of seeing all the crap in the world and decided it wanted to be blind. See how clever I am? So clever. Basically, this raven is supposed to be an omen and represents an omen, and how things just happen, and there is no particular reason to the things that sometimes happen to us. So now that we got all the characters fixed in, that's what we have so far. What we're missing is the background, which will be finalized in the next video. A big thank you to all my patrons, and if you too want to become a patron, make sure to visit patreon.com/swampy to get monthly goodies and be involved in the process of making this video. Until next time, much love.